Peace, family. So we back with another one. Today what I want to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how most people are not for you in today's society. Most beings will not be for you, meaning that they don't have to be against you. They can be robots. Robots and demons, I consider them to be similar and different. The robots are not running around doing things with ill intentions. The demons, we already understand that's their whole playbook is ill intentions. And there is a lot of confusion and mix-up between understanding the difference between the people who are out here on full-fledged demon time and the people who are NPCs, zombies, bots. There's a difference, which I just stated earlier, that you can easily differentiate between the two. And a lot of the times when you vibrate the way we vibrate over here, you'll be constantly put in a place to where you are feeling as though you have to explain or break it down or give some kind of example as far as what you mean. Because where the big conflict comes in at is for the people who don't comprehend. When you start saying certain people are in demon time or the system is operating demonically, a lot of them get confused and they're constantly trying to figure out, well, how do you know and how can you tell the difference? Intentions. People can try to mask their intentions, but it's always going to surface. It's always going to show. It's very hard, extremely hard to hide your intentions. The ones who have figured out how to hide their intentions usually didn't really figure out how to hide it. It's just the other beings who they had the different intentions with were just not vibing that high, so it was easier for you to mask your intentions and, to make your move, do whatever it is you got to do, or establish whatever you got to establish in the process. But a lot of people aren't going to be for you in today's society, which is why a lot of us end up isolated, riding solo, moving dolo out here in the field, And I know a lot of us didn't really want to, but for our own safety and for our survival, we had to isolate and start moving differently. It's easy to operate and to function around and to get away from people who are on demon time. They disrupt your aura and your vibration. They're constantly pulling energy from you, or you're constantly overpouring your vibration into them willingly. Those, for us, for the most part, are the easy ones to manage and deal with. We already understand opposition, on a surface level, physical realm. It's, you don't like me, I don't like you, cool. That's how it used to be in high school growing up. You didn't like this person over there, they didn't like you, it was known, y'all just stayed away from each other. Unless this one felt like a bully, wanted to be in your space and cause some kind of chaos in your life. The weird part would come in at is when you have friends or associates who play both sides of the fence. When you have associates who aren't really willing to learn new information, you're sharing insight and useful, resourceful information with them, and their upload and download processor is broken. Only when it comes to that godly vibration. It's always some kind of rejection or a fusion or confusion. It's kind of like when you explaining to a robot that, oh, the system is structured this way because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They broke the families down because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, you give them something that's just like on a simple form. That's why I didn't dive too deep. You give them this information and they still lean on reciting the system's information to you. You already understand the information that the system has put out here. But that's the only source of information that the robots tend to spew back out to you. It becomes difficult communicating with a lot of robots with any of these subjects that has to do with natural law and the system laws. There's always a conflict of interest. One, for us, because we're always going to follow natural law, even if we're in survival mode or not. We'll do what we got to do, and we're back to following natural law. But the ones on the other side of the spectrum, they don't comprehend, don't want to comprehend, refuse to comprehend that there has to be some kind of accuracy in the information that you have chose to share with them about natural law, because you can look out in nature and see it for itself. It gets a little frustrating sometimes communicating and engaging with them, especially if it's people that you kind of care about a little bit or you rock with a little bit, because you really want them to be on your team during this battle time. You really want to be able to fight in war with them during this battle time. But it becomes a point in time to where if they aren't willing to fight and learn themselves, you cannot do it for them. When I was younger growing up, I used to be in a lot of physical altercations. You know, when you're young, you're allowed to. You got plenty of strikes. You don't have to worry about jail time when you're little. So you get all your fighting out the way when you're younger. But when I was younger, unless it was like my siblings or immediate close friend that I knew personally, we did a lot of stuff together. We rode our bikes, we did video games, we outside playing toss-up football. Unless it's somebody like that was close to me like that, if you aren't gonna fight and defend yourself when you have an altercation, I'm not allowed to jump in and to help you in that situation because you aren't willing to defend yourself. But for everybody that does choose to defend themselves, and the opposition that they are facing may just be a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, any of these things that kind of gives the opposition a little bit of edge, oh, I'm riding with my person that I'm vibing with, you know what I mean? And they're not gonna have to worry about being taken advantage of, because worst case scenario, he gets stomped out by 2 people instead of 1, you know? Or instead of him getting the easy win, now he gonna have to handle 2. But I was not allowed to fight anyone battles who did not defend themselves. I had one situation where I was leaving the middle school, and me and one of my associates, we were associates in school. In school, me and him chopped it up, kicked it, but outside of school, we didn't hang out and vibe like that. So we leaving out of middle school after elementary school. I'm sorry, I kept saying middle school. Elementary school. We leaving out of elementary school, probably like 4th or 5th grade. And I guess he had a situation with 2 other guys. Me and him are walking out the school, coming down the lawn. 2 guys come up from behind him. One of them had a big branch in his hand, hit him over the head. Me and him walking, neither one of us saw it coming at all. It was that fast. Walked up behind us, bong, hit him in the head with the stick. Stick broke. It threw me off because I just seen him like going to like almost a shock state. It didn't knock him down on the ground, but it did stumble him a little bit because he was thrown off guard. And my natural reaction was to want to turn around and square up and see what's up. But then I realized he just only rubbed his head where he got hit at because it was hurting and stinging, but he didn't turn around and say one thing to the dudes who did it. You know what I mean? He just kept on walking. And I felt extremely bad for him. But I couldn't step in and do anything because he wouldn't fend for himself. Even if he had said something and gestured like he was going to, or turn around and put his hands up like he was thinking about defending himself, even if they was gonna beat him, I would have stepped in and I would have fought with him. But because he chose to not fight for himself, I couldn't fight for him. Which brings me back full circle to where we at right now, how most of the people in today's society isn't for us. It doesn't make sense for us to be out in public spaces and locations with people who may put us at risk of having to defend ourselves in those kinds of fashions when we already have enough battles going on. If you get into a situation similar to that, let it be on your own terms and time, not because you was moving around with someone else and because of the place and location that you were occupying has that vibration and is going against you, that now you feel as though you have to take these other steps. It's also difficult in understanding that most people aren't going to be for us in these times, because you can tell people healthy tips that's going to help them in their life and they still will now not take any initiative to want to do anything about it. I can name numerous of people who I've given them information that I've already had, and some beings I actually went out and did extra research so that way I could, the next time I did talk to them again, I would have some new information to give them. It was this one person that I knew of, and they would just randomly hit me up, just complaining and venting. And I've known them for a while, and their brother, which was one of my associates, had died from an overdose. And I kind of felt bad. So when they would call me complaining, I would want to give them ideas or solutions to kind of get them out of that space of complaining, or to help start healing whatever they have going on with their body. Because this person had some physical health issues, with their body, cavities. Anybody that's had cavities, you already know how painful cavities are. Just different remedies you can do to kill the infection for those faster. Whatever name the doctor gave them for their diagnosis for whatever dis-ease that they had, I would Google and YouTube it and look up natural remedies, organic remedies that you can use to counter, so that way you don't have to lean as much on the doctor's meds. They rejected all of it. And it's like, I don't have the time or energy to be wasting just giving to these other beings who aren't gonna take the initiative. I don't even have to say take the initiative, because I've already taken the initiative by going out doing the research and giving them the information, that don't want to take the proper steps to put themselves in a better space. A lot of these robots, not the demons, they are stuck in this low vibrational state where it's complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint. And it's only but so much complaining and poison you're going to be able to tolerate before it starts to affect you. Either you find yourself in that space to where you're complaining back with them now, or you'll have this thing happening where now you don't want to share any information, but you still kind of want to be supportive and be there for them and helpful, but you're getting quiet. And you're keeping all of everything within you that you want to share outwardly. That's a whole nother battle you just added to the plate on yourself, because you really just wanted to help these other beings that was close to your vibration, that you kind of cared about. you could try to have civil conversations with people, you know. Sometimes it's like, even us just being us, it kind of throws the robots off, right? I say that because I know that everybody isn't the same size, right? That's kind of obvious. But when I have my heavier associates that I socialize with, I feel guilty sometimes talking about if they ask me, oh, what'd you do today? I went to walk the trail and I worked out. I shouldn't feel guilty for wanting to take better care of my health now, so that way I don't have to worry about it later down the road. And I shouldn't have to not mention what I've done for the day because it's an insecurity for them every day. I get burnt out of having to go through that process, because even if I'm talking to or socializing with somebody that's heavyset and I mention something about my workout regimen, or they ask me, have I eaten today? And I start going over like the foods that I stay away from, or I mention what I have eaten for the day, and it's usually something pretty light until the end of the night. I eat heavier at the end of the night. That's just how my life is set up right now. In all actuality, I don't like eating heavy no more anyways. That 3 meals a day, that's too much food. You know, eating till you full, that's too much food. You know, I very seldomly will eat myself till I'm full, because I don't like the way I feel after I eat that much food. And I shouldn't have to feel guilty. Even though I don't express this outwardly to a lot of these beings, this is still the process of what's going on and what's happening in the inside. So because you're insecure, or because you don't want to discipline yourself and manage what you are putting in your mouth, you could do 2 things. And it'd be frustrating when I have to communicate with my heavier set associates, because it's like, you don't have to work out, right? But you could watch what you, matter of fact, don't watch it. Stop putting so much food in your mouth. I was gonna say watch it, but I'm pretty sure everybody watches their food when they're eating. I'm being a smart ass. But you can be more attentive and start to work yourself and become more disciplined in that area. If the system shut down right now, or some weird movie zombie outbreak happened, a lot of people wouldn't even be able to run right now. They wouldn't be able to function. They're operating right now and saying it's okay, I can do it. But if we all had to run right now, nature says the biggest, slowest ones will get grabbed first. You can watch the Animal Planet or YouTube and see people out in safaris in nature, and you can see how a lion can take down a buffalo, it takes down a hippo. They slow. If they can get them down on their back, it's a wrap. Speaking of your daily routines, will cause some of these robots to want to throw the vibration off, you know, because one, you could have been more productive throughout your day than they have been throughout their lifetime. You know, it's just a handful of things that becomes frustrating. It's even like when you talk about natural law and the creator to some of the zombie bots, you know, it's so much friction and resistance in the air that it makes you not even want to discuss those things out loud around these beings anymore either. And they can clearly tell that you have good intentions. They can clearly see and tell you have good intentions, and it still is an issue in between it. That's why I be saying, like, most of these people out here ain't for you, they not for us. Because if they not on demon time attacking us and we battling, fighting with them, then they're in robot mode. Robot mode means that their God is the system. Their God is the system. Their God is the system. They don't want to hear anything else that's going on. I told another one of my associates, I'm like, they be like, so what do you be doing when you out driving, working and doing stuff sometimes? I like to listen to my videos, like not me talking, but I like to listen to other beings share their knowledge and information as well too. And I say that to try to plant a seed. Like, if you want me to keep continuing to communicate with you and give you my energy, then it would be nice if you would do the same thing. You know, because if you did, then that means that you could share with me what you've learned for the day. I can share with you what I've learned for the day. That creates a much more productive conversation than, let's say I stopped by one of my associates' houses and they got TV shows on. I don't watch TV shows no more. I don't get anything from TV shows. It's kind of like taking all the ingredients out the food and then giving it back to me. That does zero zip nada for me. I get no fulfillment. I get no reward. It's not even relaxing just sitting around watching TV shows because my spirit is somewhere else. Even if it don't have commercials, it's still extremely difficult for me to focus on any kind of movie and TV show right now. And I'd be doing a better job at not putting my 2 cents on the table. I've always put my 2 cents on the table since I was young, to my teenage years, to where I was going through all my crazy situations, to where I start recovering from them crazy situations, to where I started transitioning to this way of life. Now I'm at the point to where I don't care for throwing my 2 cents in. You know, if they want to shorten their life expectancy, that's on them. You know, if they don't want someone who's aware and can do certain things, you know, to help benefit them in the process, I don't have no more 2 cents to put on the table for them. I don't understand why it's so difficult as a zombie bot to get your ass up and to shift your routine, even if it's with the smallest thing. If your room is your hangout spot and you got a whole house, change your room from your hangout spot. Hang out in the living room. That way you aren't stretched out laying on the bed all day and your body and your muscles are useless for the rest of the day once you're off of work. A lot of the zombie bots feel like that's all they have to do is work a job and then that's it. They feel normal and rewarded for just working, slaving at one of these plantations. And to be honest, some of these zombie bots do have their own businesses. They aren't all just working at these plantations, but it stops there. Most of the zombie bot businesses is all about $1. Most of the zombie bots businesses that they created themselves is all about $1. You know how many people started printing merch? And we cannot say making merch because none of them have made the actual, they're not sewing and knitting. So they aren't making this actual shirt. They're just going to get a print press, boop, putting it over top of there. So you know who's getting more money? The people who's making these shirts. The people who make these shirts that dumb people buy to stamp is making the bag. And then they stamp it and then they overcharge everyone and say that they have to do it to make money. We all need finances and funds out here. All of us need finances and funds, but everything you do in life doesn't have to be about $1. Every time you go to help someone, it doesn't have to be about $1. Every time you want to build and grow and expand your vibration, it doesn't have to be about $1. When I first started doing my thing that the universe had opened up for me, TrakBeatz, I wasn't running around chasing $1. In my world, it made more sense to spread my brand faster and further. So in my world, I'm processing, okay, I already know I'm gonna have to take some L's. Anytime you start up any businesses or you're doing things from ground zero, you're gonna have to take some L's. So why not just take all my L's right up front? Meaning that I can undercharge for music videos, I can undercharge and work around budgets for beats, I can undercharge and work around budgets for music videos. You know, I was offering a space for beings to come to the Godcast and help them promote their businesses and, you know, who they are out to the universe. I could have charged for all of this, but I wouldn't have been as far as I am right now at the speed that I am if I hadn't done it the route that I taken. I know we need money out here, but everything isn't about $1 for me. If I really wanted to be witchy or be a zombie bot, my parents, my mom and my dad, and the creator and source have given me enough talents to be able to do whatever the fuck it is I want to do. And my parents' genetics did a good enough job to where I could blend in and be okay with doing some of these witchy activities. Because your looks can move you a little bit further and faster in today's society. It's pretty shallow, but that's just what it is, you know? And us on this side of the spectrum, we never felt fulfilled or rewarded for utilizing our powers and abilities in that kind of demonic fashion. This is why it's extremely difficult dealing with a lot of these people and beings that's out here in today's society. You give people healthy advice and insight, they give you pushback. In my world, they basically saying, I don't want to get better. I don't want to do better. I don't want to get better. I don't want. And you could not even be in the best position either, but you're still putting out the best energy that you possibly can put out to the universe. It don't cost money to push out a high vibration, a loving vibration, a godly vibration, a divine vibration. It doesn't cost money to do that. It requires energy. You're limited to how much energy you have for the day before you gotta, you know, charge up and then come back the next day. So you do want to be mindful of those things, but we're not gonna be able to waste a whole lot of energy on these zombie robots either. You know, we already know what's going on with the demons, and we'll get back to their playbook and some of their tactics later, but this is for that gray area where people is like, all right, well, they're not really moving with us over on this side of the spectrum, but they aren't with the demons either, because they don't have ill intentions. You know, you will see them going to help out people. Like, some of them are financially stable. They might be giving people rides, you know, they might be sending over a couple dollars to help out friends or family. You know, they could be staying after their jobs and doing extra work to help other people. They are doing things to show that they don't have ill intentions, but they are still moving with the system, which is intentionally and unintentionally opposing you, us. It's pretty deep, but it's easier to simplify it once you can distinguish their intentions. If you're really moving with source and creator, the way you project your vibration, the way you show it in your walk of life, you know, the way you speak life, you already know, okay, I'm over here with the God bodies. Everyone with ill intentions is over here on demon time. When I say ill intentions, I know we're 30 minutes in. When I say ill intentions, I mean in like, that's always their agenda. Because it's been times where I've done things with ill intentions, but it's been part of the war in the battle, or someone did something to me and I'm an eye for an eye kind of being. So yes, I'm gonna have ill intentions on wanting to hurt you as bad as I possibly can. But I'm only able to do that when it's called for justice. that's because I follow spiritual law. If I didn't do it under spiritual law and I didn't feel justified, then they would be able to put me over on the other side of the spectrum and just saying I'm just doing ill-intended things. All of this stuff we can go pretty deep, you know, and we could be breaking this stuff down for hours, but we got to kind of simplify it so that way the ones who aren't really on their levels where they should be at, or around our levels and vibrations where we are at, we have to make it easier for those ones to climb the ladder, climb the stairs if they would like to. We always gonna extend that hand for the most part, and we always keep an open heart. Even when we say we shutting it down, closing my heart off, I'm not helping nobody else, the guilt gets us, and it's gonna be somebody that come across our path, and our heart is just gonna do what it naturally does. I ain't wanna run it up too long though. Just keep these things in mind, you know what I mean? Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.